What's going on, Packers Nation? Welcome back to another video of Packers Latest. I am your host, Taylor Bretl, keeping you up to date on the latest news of the green and gold Green Bay Packers. A happy Tuesday to all of you watching out there, and a huge shout out to Underdog Fantasy for sponsoring this video. If you're new to the channel, I welcome you. Feel free to subscribe, leave a like, turn on a notification bell so you know when these videos go live. And if you're a returner, I welcome you back as always. Starting this one off with the guy that's, his name's been in the news in the sports world ever since that Packers 18-point lead was blown to the Chicago Bears in the NFC wildcard. Head coach of the Green Bay Packers, Matt LaFleur. Some updated news on him and the Green Bay Packers, with Green Bay expecting to work on a deal with LaFleur. Definitely an interesting notification to see today per Adam Schefter. He was also on Get Up, and he also was on the Pat McAfee show talking about this, because after this unfortunate playoff loss, we've seen playoff losses like this in the past, Matt LaFleur's hot seat definitely rose pretty high, with a lot of fans wanting him out, and with a lot of fans wanting that one last, year of his contract to end and then get him out after that. But this looks like, they could be heading in a different direction. So Adam Schefter with two posts on X today. The first one saying, Packers now are expected to try to work out a deal in the coming days to keep head coach Matt LaFleur in Green Bay, per sources. And he replied to that post saying, Matt LaFleur currently has 1 year remaining on his contract. Both sides want clarity moving forward. I think that's a big thing about this. Lots of people forget Matt LaFleur still does have 1 year left on his contract. It's not like it ended after this season and it's saying, all right, let's just move on for him. He does have that 1 year left. Will Green Bay try to move him to a different team, or will they extend him on top of this 1 year? It looks like they're trying to extend him and do that right now, not when this 1 year is over and try to do it from then, because then that is definitely a tougher decision to make. My personal opinion about Matt LaFleur, man, I've been a Matt LaFleur truther for a long while, but after that 18-point lead was blown to the Chicago Bears, definitely some different thoughts in my head swirl around it. I look at this coaching cycle, though, and if I think about it, would I want Matt LaFleur to be gone and bring in one of the coaches in this coaching cycle? I don't think it's the strongest coaching cycle. I mean, there's definitely some big names. You got Harbaugh in there. You got, even with the Niners, could Saleh be going into a head coaching position? You got some pretty sizable names, but in my opinion, I don't really feel like any of them are a great fit for Green Bay. I mean, even Kevin Stefanski is a big name rumoring around for the Green Bay Packers head coaching job. I feel like LaFleur would be the best options out of this coaching cycle, which would be that 1 year left on his contract. After that, who knows? But again, looks like Ed Policy and the Packers are trying to add an extension on top of this 1 year that he has coming up next season. So that's definitely interesting to look about. It could take a couple of days to get more confirmation on this, but that is the latest news with Matt LaFleur and his status as the head coach of the Green Bay Packers, which takes me into my next point. You look at the players of the Packers, maybe even a player that's no longer a Green Bay Packer talking positive about Matt LaFleur. There's lots of players in the open media day. Unfortunately, it was the locker clean out on Monday, where lots of interviews were happening there. But a key player in Micah Parsons spoke on Matt LaFleur and kind of the rumors and how he viewed him as a head coach. Per Rob Domofsky on X, this says, Micah Parsons with a strong endorsement of Packers coach Matt LaFleur, in quotes. I reached out to him when I started seeing this, and I said, when I agreed to come here, you were part of the reason. Definitely some powering words for Micah Parsons in a positive way towards Matt LaFleur. He spoke on the organization as a whole as well. This is per Matt Schneidman on X, in quotes from Parsons, saying, I couldn't have made a better decision when you talk about picking an organization to come to. So he's definitely praising LaFleur. He's praising the Packers organization as a whole, and still showing positives despite a 5-game losing streak and an ugly way to get bounced out of the playoffs in your very first round. You go to a former Packer, Aaron Rodgers, after he unfortunately got bounced out of the first round of the playoffs in that 30-6 loss to the Houston Texans, despite, him being on the Steelers and, a lot of that press conference being about the game and will he retire, Matt LaFleur's name was still snuck in there in one of his responses. This in quotes saying, when you hear conversation about the Mike Tomlins of the world, Matt LaFleur's of the world, ... when I first got in the league, there wouldn't be conversations about whether these guys were on the hot seat. But the way that the league is covered now, ... the validity given to the Twitter experts and all the experts on TV who make it seem like they know what the hell they're talking about, to me, that's an absolute joke. Definitely came at it with that response there. Yeah, some pretty powering words for Aaron Rodgers, who hasn't been on the Packers in a couple of years. throwing Mike Tomlin's name in there because that's his current head coach, but bringing Matt LaFleur in there as well, definitely did not expect that, but got to give props to him. Players both on the Packers and not on the Packers anymore defending the decision for Matt LaFleur to stay the head coach of the Green Bay Packers. Just thought that was an interesting note to end on there. Before we get into our third point, though, gotta give a huge shout out to the sponsor of this video, Underdog Fantasy. Football playoffs are here, and Underdog is the best place to get in on all the gridiron action. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick if your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like touchdowns, rushing yards, receptions, and more. Get them right, and you could win up to 5,000 times your cash. This week on Underdog, I was looking at that final wild card game between the Houston Texans and the Pittsburgh Steelers. I had Aaron Rodgers higher than 204.5 passing yards, which unfortunately did not happen. He did not have the greatest possible last game of his career, but I did have CJ Stroud for higher than 228.5 passing yards, which that one hit. I believe he finished with right around 250. So what are you waiting for? Download the app today and use promo code FOOTBALLFAN to score $75 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. That's promo code FOOTBALLFAN. Underdog, make picks, win money. Again, Aaron Rodgers, unfortunate that was possibly his last game in the NFL and how that one ended. His final pass being a pick six, kind of similar to Brett Favre, his final pass being an interception in the playoffs, but still, 1 out of 2 on my picks this week. You know, I'll take 50%. Would have liked to go 2 for 2. Seemed like Rodgers could have been trending towards that higher than 204.5 passing yards, but unfortunately fell short. Going into the third point of this video, we got to talk about special teams because, man, that was arguably a bigger story than Matt LaFleur on his own after that loss to the Chicago Bears. And, you know, Green Bay expected to move on from Rich Bisaccia, which, in my personal opinion, is the correct decision. And my big question, too, to you guys, if LaFleur stays, is there another coach that should be gone? My answer is yes, and Rich Bisaccia is the first name that comes to mind. Unfortunately, having to say that to Mr. Bisaccia, but that is just the reality of what this Packers special teams has been since bringing him in, who at the time seemed like the best hire the Packers could have gotten, and it just has not worked out. Per NFL Talk Sports on X, this post saying the Green Bay Packers are expected to move on from special teams coordinator Rich Bisaccia, regardless if head coach Matt LaFleur is back or not, per league source. So again, really talks about Matt LaFleur not really a big factor in this decision. If he's there, if he's not there, it seems like Bisaccia could be heading out of Green Bay. A big thing to note in that kind of got overlooked out of all of these, you know, special teams miscues, you had to have Josh Jacobs back there returning kicks, his first kick return attempt. He fumbled it. They luckily landed on it. You had Brandon McManus leaving 7 points on the board. Luckily, the punts from Daniel Whelan were good, but still lots of miscues on special teams. This was per Rob Domofsky on X, finding some film and posting about this. Speaking on the Packers special teams lineup against the Bears extra point where they went up 31-27. Domofsky saying probably didn't matter, but the Packers only had 10 on the field for the Bears' final PAT on Saturday. I mean, if that's not the unfortunate cherry on top that you needed to see from Bisaccia, you cannot even get the right amount of players on the field to potentially, I know blocking a PAT is very hard, but man, if they had an 11th guy, if it could have been blocked, you just never know. The fact that you have 10 guys on the field on your last, you know, one of your last, possibly last special teams plays called for the Green Bay Packers, only 10 guys on the field, and Bears go up by 4 points. Green Bay having to drive the whole length of the field, get a touchdown to win, and that unfortunately did not happen. Just brutal stuff. Seems like Bisaccia will be out of Green Bay. For the final point of this episode, got to talk about Tucker Kraft and Micah Parsons. They shared injury updates in the locker room cleanout today. Going to start with Micah Parsons, per Pat Timlin on X, saying Micah Parsons back in Green Bay. He said he plans to be back by September and does not expect to start next season on IR. In quotes from Parsons, it says, optimistically, week 1, realistically, week 3. Would be nice if he's back week 1, but is definitely positive news that it still could be as early as week 3. Again, Micah Parsons getting hurt against the Denver Broncos and, you know, recovering from an ACL injury takes months and months and months. For some guys, it takes even longer. So the fact that he's on track for, you know, being optimistic about week 1, but more realistic about week 3, definitely positive news to take away from Parsons. You go to Tucker Kraft. This is per Matt Schneidman on X saying, in quotes from Tucker Kraft, by By the time week 1 rolls around, I'll be 10 months post-surgery and hopefully bulletproofed by then. I already feel pretty good. My progress so far has been great. Some would say even ahead of schedule. So could Tucker Kraft be back week 1 if Parsons isn't? That seems a little bit more likely, but still nice to see positive updates from both Packers in that injury-ridden season. Parsons and Kraft definitely the two biggest blows out of the group that got that attention. I mean, there's that photo going around X that's very popular after that win against the Pittsburgh Steelers with Jordan Love, Tucker Kraft, Micah Parsons, kind of the three players of the game. And it's kind of showing two of those guys are gone. Would be nice to have maybe a new big three of the Packers. You can pick a lot of guys, mix them around for a big three for this team, but definitely three very impactful players. And even Jordan Love getting hurt for those couple of weeks, he did look good in that playoff game and obviously is healthy there. But nonetheless, nice to see positive updates on Tucker Kraft and Micah Parsons. But that's all I got for this episode of Packers Latest. I appreciate you all tuning in as always. And as always, go Pack Go.